Welcome back to another explainer. Okay, today we're diving into an absolutely mind-blowing feat of automotive engineering. Imagine stepping into a car that feels less like, a traditional vehicle and way more like a rolling, futuristic command center. We're going to completely deconstruct this machine and see exactly what makes it so unique, pulling from some fantastic insights and first-hand road testing from our source material. Let's get right into it. So the car we're talking about is the BMW i7, and it comes with an astronomical price tag. We're talking 2.5 crore rupees. Just let that sink in for a second. To put that massive number into perspective, for that exact same amount of cash, you could literally buy a fleet of 20 to 25 regular cars. You could literally have your own private convoy driving down the highway. So how on earth do you justify spending that kind of money? Well, here is our roadmap to figure that out. We're going to cover the 2.5 crore question, check out the futuristic design and hardware, experience the silent speed and extreme comfort, look at the rolling 8K theater, and finally, unpack exactly why it's so expensive. Now, traditionally, the car market is kind of split, right? On one side, you've got pure electric cars. They're insanely fast, super tech-heavy, but they often lack that true plush luxury. Then, on the other side, you have your traditional luxury cars, super safe, incredibly comfortable, but usually a bit slow to adopt cutting-edge screens and tech. But our source has this brilliant way of describing the i7. They call it the middle scorpion, or Beach Cub Bichu. It's this rare, unique beast that perfectly bridges the gap. It takes blistering, high-tech electric performance and completely fuses it with old-school ultra-luxury. Moving into our first major area, futuristic design and hardware. Or, as I like to think of it, the invisible tech. You see, when you're paying this much, luxury is often about what you don't see. Just look at some of these quirky exterior details the source pointed out. First off, you've got these stunning, crystallined interior headlights. And underneath that massive hood, well, actually, scratch that, there's no front trunk space like you'd find in most EVs. Instead, it hides a massive, complex radar and camera system, complete with its very own tiny cleaning pipe. Since it's an EV, the silencer is obviously completely missing from the underbelly. And here's the funny part. If you pop the actual trunk, there's absolutely no spare tire, just a puncture kit. As our source humorously notes, rich people simply don't change tires. They'll use a kit or, more likely, just call someone for help. And that invisible tech perfectly illustrates how even the most basic action, literally just getting into the car, is completely re-engineered. You don't yank a handle here, you just press a flush button on the door. Instantly, proximity sensors on the side of the car scan the whole surrounding area. If there's an obstacle or, say, someone standing right next to the car, the door automatically stops and only opens to a safe width. No dinging other cars, no hitting anyone. It's a wildly sophisticated touch. Once you step inside, this super minimalist luxury totally takes over. You won't see traditional AC vents anywhere. They're completely hidden from sight, just blended right into the dashboard design. The whole cabin relies heavily on buttonless controls, using these sleek, touch-sensitive crystal panels. It is so digitized that even popping open the glove box requires you to tap a digital button on a screen. Next up is silent speed and extreme comfort, which really boils down to the illusion of speed. Imagine this, launching from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.5 seconds, but doing it in absolute, total silence. There's a quote from the source's road test that captures this perfectly. They said, 120 kilometers per hour feels like 40 kilometers per hour. The suspension is just so extreme in its smoothness, and the insulation is so heavy that it creates this sensory deprivation chamber inside the cabin. It completely masks the car's raw speed, so you feel like you're just gently gliding along when you are actually flying down the expressway. You literally have to roll down the windows just to let the wind noise remind you how fast you're actually going. To pull off that incredible illusion and totally isolate you from the outside world, this car uses incredibly thick, dual-layered, slightly blue-tinted glass. It keeps the blazing sun out and creates absolute cabin silence. In fact, the source shared a really funny anecdote about this. The glass is actually so thick and so well insulated that it entirely blocked an electronic fast-tag toll scanner from reading their tag through the windshield. Add in the multi-mode full-body massage seats that target your shoulders and lower back, and suddenly every commute turns into a high-end spa session. And here's the kicker. The customization is physical, not just digital. So when you switch the car from a normal drive setting to something like relax mode, it doesn't just change the color theme on your dashboard screen. It instantly, physically transforms the car. The ambient lighting immediately shifts to a warmer tone. The climate control automatically adjusts. The actual window blinds close to give you privacy. And your seat immediately starts giving you a massage. The whole shebang all at once. Now, because there's no roaring V8 engine and absolutely zero jerking from gear shifts, BMW had to replace those traditional mechanical cues with manufactured audio. When you mash the accelerator, you hear this really smooth, futuristic sound. The source compares it to the hum of a high-speed metro train or an airplane takeoff. It's designed to perfectly accompany that massive, seamless acceleration without actually disrupting the peace of the cabin.
Let's move to Section 4, the rolling 8K theater, which is undeniably the ultimate party trek.
We are about to look at the vehicle's most outrageous feature, hands down, and I want to pose this question directly to you. If you were dropping 2.5 crore on a vehicle, what exactly is the ultimate party trick? What is the one single thing that will make anyone's jaw hit the floor the second they sit in the backseat? Well, the answer is a massive 32-inch 8K drop-down TV. And it doesn't just pop up from the center console like in older cars. No, it literally slides down from the roof on specialized rails. And it's brilliant too. It adjusts automatically. If you recline your seat backward, the screen automatically tilts and moves itself so it never bumps into the seats. It's just wild. Let's actually walk through this dramatic sequence as tested by the source, because it's quite a show. You tap theater mode on your door's touchscreen, almost instantly the rear and side window blinds close automatically, plunging the backseat into total darkness. Then cinematic ambient music begins to swell through the high-end speakers, and finally that 32-inch 8K screen elegantly lowers into position. In a matter of seconds, your backseat is completely transformed into a private, isolated cinema. But what do you actually do with a massive screen like that in a car? Well, the use cases are pretty wild. You can plug in an HDMI cable and play a PlayStation 5 or a Steam Deck in full resolution. You can mirror your laptop screen and literally edit high-resolution videos on the go. You could host high-stakes board meetings right from the highway, or, just kick back and watch YouTube. As the source rightfully points out, this is built for someone who has worked really hard for their money and needs to be highly productive, or just perfectly entertained, while sitting in dead-stop city traffic. Let's zoom out and look at how this builds historically, because our source provided some really great context here. Think back to the 1970s. Cars were just starting to get basic digital dashboards. Then, by the 1980s, we saw small LCDs and radios, the ones you actually had to remove so they wouldn't get stolen, right? In the 2020s, tablet-style touchscreens finally became the standard. And today, we literally have a fully functional 32-inch 8K TV rolling on roof rails. The auto industry usually moves at a snail's pace when it comes to screen tech, which makes this a massive, unprecedented evolutionary leap. And that brings us to our final section. Why is it so expensive? Let's talk about the economics of ultra-luxury. To really answer that core mystery of the 2.5 crore price tag, you just have to look at the stark contrast in replacement costs. For a normal, everyday car, replacing a windshield might cost you somewhere around 5,000 rupees. But for the i7's dual-layer insulated glass, try over 80,000 rupees. Normal headlights will run you maybe 3,000 to 4,000 rupees. The i7's crystallined headlights? Yeah, those are around 1 lakh rupees. The point is, you are paying a massive premium for highly engineered, cutting-edge materials in absolutely every single inch of the vehicle. But taking a step back, it really comes down to the overarching business model. Unlike mass-market cars that make tiny profits on millions and millions of units sold, a car like this is produced in very low volumes. So it has to pack all of its massive research and development costs, like designing those hidden vents, the sensor-driven doors, the crazy roof rails, into a very small number of sales. And naturally, that requires much higher profit margins per car. Plus, you're also footing the bill for the trial, error, and immense safety testing needed to bring these wild innovations to life in the first place. Which leads us to a really fantastic takeaway from the source material. Innovative things are expensive in the beginning. Pushing technology to the absolute next level requires an immense amount of upfront capital and rigorous testing. The buyers of a car like this aren't just buying transportation, really. They are essentially funding the bleeding edge of automotive technology. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Will the luxury technology of the 1% eventually become the standard for the 99%? Like, are 8K TVs dropping from the roof and buttonless, sensor-driven doors the inevitable future for all of our daily commutes? I don't know, but it is definitely a fascinating space to watch. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll catch you on the next one.